Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. More than 100 victims of alleged abuse at the Ashley Youth Detention Centre are set to receive a share of $75 million in compensation after a momentous class action passed Tasmania's Supreme Court. For many, it's a final step in their long-standing fight to be believed. But despite previous recommendations, the centre still remains open.
Hand in hand, with emotions running high, following a Supreme Court ruling to compensate 129 victims of alleged physical and sexual abuse between 1961 and 2021. Those incidents occurring at Tasmania's only youth prison.
They ended up in Ashley because they were already traumatised, and they came out of Ashley much more damaged than should have been the case.
Today, the final step in ensuring Tasmania and the world hear and believe their stories. $75 million to be paid out by the state government and distributed between plaintiffs by mid-next year. Tasmania's first ever successful class action suit.
There are so many of them who have not yet spoken up. There are some people that have not survived what they endured at Ashley.
Ashley Youth Detention Centre is widely condemned for its treatment of children, with harrowing findings coming to light after a Commission of Inquiry report released last year. The lawyer representing the victim survivors telling the court today, money can only go so far, and frankly, not far at all. Adding, this is an attempt to do what money can to repair the damage suffered by class members. But for now, Ashley remains open.
But we wanted to see it closed by the end of 2024. The government's been so slow on this.
And the Commission of Inquiry was very clear that the facility itself needed to close because the culture, they were not confident the culture could be changed.
The government previously committing to building a new centre to be ready by mid-2026.
Very focused on delivering new therapeutic models of care and a new therapeutic facility.
It's too little too late. What we're seeing is entirely inappropriate.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A Lithuanian man remains in intensive care in Hobart tonight after losing his leg during a river rescue. The 20-hour ordeal and incredible whitewater amputation now making headlines around the world.
In what would otherwise be a serene and beautiful part of Tasmania, this rocky spot on the Franklin River is the scene of a daring rescue and an amazing story of survival.
The most challenging setting that I've ever been faced with and conceivably ever will.
The 65-year-old visitor from Lithuania was with a group of 10 people pack rafting the remote southwest river.
He's gone to retrieve one of the inflatable kayaks that was lodged on a rock in the middle of the river when he's taken a slip.
That's when his leg became wedged between submerged rocks. An hour later, police received an emergency alert from his watch, sparking a multi-agency response. The man remaining trapped and partially submerged through Friday night and Saturday morning before rescuers decided there was no way of freeing his leg.
On a good day, that's an exceptionally challenging conversation to have, and then add the complexity of someone that we're delivering this to who speaks at best broken English.
Wedged like an hourglass in what rescuers describe as a worst-case scenario, his condition deteriorating in the cold water. A variety of rescue methods and different rescue equipment with lifting capacity of 50 tonnes couldn't budge the rocks. The only way to save him, to amputate his leg there in the rapids.
This decision wasn't made lightly and was at the end of exhaustive efforts overnight in a range of rescue techniques that ultimately were unsuccessful.
After 20 hours in the water, he was flown straight to the Royal Hobart, where he remains tonight, still in a critical condition. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
The Spirits fiasco isn't showing signs of fading as State Parliament sits for the final week this year. Political donations are also set to make a comeback as the government looks to squeeze the rest of its policy agenda through.
As the clock ticks down to the last sitting week of Parliament, the government is facing more pressure about an issue that's troubled them throughout the year.
What they've now admitted is that there are going to be 27 less day sailings in Tasmania than there were last year.
That's according to a new response to a question on notice by the Transport Minister. And the opposition is concerned that could mean more missed profits for struggling local businesses.
They're the ones that have let our tourism sector down. They're the ones that need to make up for it by doing everything in their power. And I think the best thing they can do at this point in time is to add more day sailing.
But Erica Betts says the Labor leader hasn't crunched the numbers properly.
Depending on the demand, there will be extra day sailings, and so to try to compare with the projection thus far compared to the actuals last year is quite disingenuous.
Debate on tougher political donation laws are also set for a comeback, with the Greens planning to have a second crack at moving amendments on Wednesday to lower the disclosure limit and bring in real-time reporting.
We've compromised across the parliament and we've worked really hard with people a number of times now to find a set of changes that will be agreed to.
The party says they're more important than ever, sceptical the government is influenced by vested interests on key reforms.
We saw just last week that the Liberal Party has broken and bowed down to the pokies lobby.
But the government insists that's not the case.
We as a government believe that we've got the settings right. It's not on our to-do list.
With just 3 days left, the government is adamant it can get through its policy checklist.
We'd like to get some health legislation through, vaping legislation, the university legislation as well.
And as the government looks to wrap up its agenda for the year, 7 Tasmanian News understands it's set to make a significant call on knife crime policy. State political reporter Anthony Dodd joins us now. And Anthony, the move would bring Tasmania in line with other states.
That's right, Kim. Sources have told 7 Tasmania News the state government will announce a trial of handheld scanners for police to detect the unlawful possession of knife crimes in public areas. Consultation has just finished on a bill that will strengthen and expand search powers, which would enable police to better prevent knife crime. It's a policy that has been passionately campaigned for by Tasmanian mother Lorraine Ludwig, whose son was tragically killed in a random knife attack in Blackmans Bay in 2019. There's also a number of other policies the government is aiming to get through by Thursday night to wrap up what's been a year full of highs and lows for the Liberals. And that's from winning the March election to dealing with the costly fallout from the bungled Spirits of Tasmania project, Kim.
A bit to get through this week. Thank you very much there, Anthony. Well, 50 years ago today, the final bucket of concrete was poured on Australia's tallest arch dam, the Gordon, in the state's southwest. Hydro Tasmania acknowledging the major milestone and the workers who've been part of it with a special celebration. The Gordon Dam and Lake Pedder generate around 13% of the state's electricity needs every year. To put its height into context, the dam is more than double that of West Point Casino. Well, lock it or lose it. That's the message with a new campaign from Crime Stoppers and the RACT. They're hoping it will address the significant rise in vehicle thefts in the state.
Tasmania has joined mainland states experiencing a rise in vehicle thefts, opportunistic thieves taking advantage of unlocked vehicles and homes to steal car keys and make off with your prized possession. Concerned about an increase in the brazen car thefts, Crime Stoppers has joined forces with the RACT to launch a summer campaign aimed at preventing vehicles from being stolen.
There's still that complacency in the community to want to leave their keys in the ignition, or in the summer evenings their windows down or their garage doors unlocked, and of course along comes the thieves.
Recent insurance figures reveal that more than 50% of vehicles stolen were parked in a residential driveway, carport or garage at the time of theft. Currently, 3 vehicles a week are being reported as stolen in Tasmania.
Every year we see a significant number of vehicles stolen across Tasmania, and over the last couple of years RACT has seen a 92% increase in the number of vehicles stolen.
The Lock It or Lose It campaign will be rolled out over the summer, urging car owners to be more vigilant in securing their vehicles.
We really need the community to help us by securing their vehicles, making sure they don't leave valuables in plain sight, making sure the keys are not readily accessible, park the car in a well-lit area.
Preventing theft before it happens. Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, Devils fans are once again being asked to get their creative juices flowing. The club calling on its members to come up with any ideas for a future club song. It's the second Put Your Say Into Play survey, also looking to find out how club members are connected to Tasmania and what kinds of activities they'd like to see the Devils host over the next year. The survey closes December 8. The Georgetown RSL club is promising to make life a little bit easier for veterans in the community. The sub-branch has been gifted a new veteran support vehicle to get its most valued members where they need to go on time.
Georgetown RSL has 120 veterans in its community and was intent on providing a reliable vehicle to ensure they could make medical appointments.
We care deeply about the people in this community, and it's great to be able to give something back to the community and the veterans and the carers of the veterans who do so much in an area where public transport can be sometimes difficult.
Bell Bay Aluminium generously tipped in $25,000 for the vehicle, along with $3,000 from the Georgetown Lions Club.
We considered it a great honour when this came up for a chance to assist the RSL in getting this vehicle. It had been a struggle for a lot of them at times, and a lot of the RSL members had been actually driving them in their own cars prior to this.
The vehicle will not only ensure RSL members get to and from their health appointments, but is available to do the airport run.
I have taken some to the Launceston Airport to fly to mainland for treatment and then come back 2 or 3 days later and things like that.
The RSL expect the car will be utilised a couple of times a week by veterans and their families, giving back to those who fought for Australia. Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
A new breast screening clinic has launched on Hobart's eastern shore in a bid to improve access to the life-saving service. The Rosny facility will provide free mammogram screening and follow-up appointments for Tasmanians aged over 40 without a doctor's referral. It's now the 3rd Breast Screen Tasmania clinic following years of planning.
This new clinic being here permanently now lets us take that mobile screening unit elsewhere in the state. So there are areas around Launceston, rural and remote Tasmania.
The most important thing about breast cancer is that we detect it early, because by detecting it early you not only get life protection but you increase dramatically your rates of survival.
The state government has invested $900,000 into the new site. City Mission has opened its new health hub on Wellington Street in Launceston. Mission Health aims to improve the wellbeing outcomes for vulnerable community members living in and around the city.
Mission Health is an incredibly valuable service to people who are experiencing homelessness. Often when people don't have secure housing and are sleeping rough, they don't prioritise their health.
Services were expanded to 4 days a week earlier this year following state government funding.
New South Wales is chasing Tasmania at the end of day 2 in their Sheffield Shield clash. Bo Webster doing most of today's heavy lifting as the Tigers set a 365-run target, returning with the ball to take 3 of the 4 Blues wickets, 2 with help from Jake Doran behind the stumps. The Blues are trailing Tassie by 129 runs with 6 wickets in hand. The Canes have picked the toughest path to their first WBBL trophy, but at least they're into finals after finishing 4th with a win over the Scorchers on Saturday. It means they'll need to beat Thunder in Sydney on Wednesday and the Heat in Brisbane on Friday to face the Renegades in the decider in Melbourne on Sunday. Our wheelchair AFL team is through to tomorrow's grand final after a 30-point win over South Australia this morning. The Tassie inclusion side also locking in a decider berth with a 60-point thumping of Western Australia in Brisbane this afternoon. They'll play South Australia tomorrow after finishing the round stage undefeated. The weekend's Rally Tasmania has sealed back-to-back ARC wins for Harry Bates and Coral Taylor. The pairing of their Canberra man and Sydney grandmother coming in 13 seconds clear of their nearest competitor. Burnie locals Eddie Maguire and Zach Brakey rounding out the podium for third. Meanwhile, a celebratory burnout from Launceston driver Adam Garwood after claiming the Touring Car Masters title in a Commodore found in a barn 5 years ago. Garwood came into the season ender in Adelaide with a comfortable 88-point lead, lifting the trophy despite a second-place finish in the final race. And the Jackies are ready for their Christmas clash with the Breakers, unveiling their ugly sweater-themed jersey with a beach photo shoot. The Kiwis will also be pulling on a festive-themed kit for the game, which is in exactly a month's time, Kim, which means 3.5 weeks until I have to start my Christmas shopping.
Oh, start now, Nick. Come on, into the spirit. We'll take a break now. Then Murph will join us with the weather forecast.
Good evening. Hobart 19 degrees today. Launceston warmed up to 27 and low 20s in Devonport and Burnie. 28 was the high at Ouse, with some parts just on average and other parts of the state up to 8 degrees above. So a wide scope today. Lyowini and Grove 25, King Island 23, Low Head and St Helens 22, Flinders Island 21 and a top of 20 for Strawn. A few showers over the east and southeast today as the cloud concentrated over those regions. Cloud associated with the trough is over inland Queensland, streaming south over New South Wales and Victoria. Central parts of WA found thunderstorms today. The high pressure ridge weakens as a low and associated front build to the west over the Bight. Winds southeasterly at 5 to 15 knots, light and variable winds over the inland lakes, swells to 3 metres in southern waters. Tuesday for Hobart, a cloudy 24 degrees, 21 the top for Adventure Bay, possible shower for Tarraleah, 40% chance of that, 25 the top. Same sort of thing for Launceston, possible shower, 28 the maximum, 22 for Devonport, 23 the high for Bridport, a cloudy afternoon. Cloudy for Burnie as well, 22 the maximum, Strawn 23, Marrawar 22. For St Helens tomorrow, a high of 22 degrees, cloudy for Swansea as well, 24. A shower or two for Whitemark, 50-50 chance, 22 the top. On Wednesday, showers about the northwest extending statewide with a possible thunderstorm or two over the north and west. Showers contracting to the east and south by Thursday evening, and on Friday mostly fine apart from a shower over the northwest and possibly the east coast. Sunny weather in Perth tomorrow, a shower or two in Adelaide and Melbourne, fine and sunny in Sydney, partly cloudy and 29 in Brisbane. Bit of cloud over Hobart, it's 14, 23 still in Launceston, warm, and 20 in Devonport right now. Kim, don't know what to think at the moment. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a couple of tickets to the Adelaide Test match, the pink ball test. $100 a day. That's a rip-off now when you see what's happened today.
Yeah, it'll be better. The Aussies will improve. Mark my word, because I know so much about cricket. And that is your Monday night news. Thanks for your company. Good night.